It's time for a frenzy. A football frenzy. Any team, any player, any question. Call now at 800-919-3776 or tweet at Rothenberg ESPN, #football frenzy, and ask us your NFL questions.
Hey, at some point, do we put my Twitter handle on the production as well? Or?
Yeah, if they make this thing official, then I think we get at Ryan Ruocco on.
All right, cool.
Then it would be our frenzy.
Then it would be.
Yes.
You'd share the frenzy that
Sure.
way. You know what? I appreciate that.
If you put my name on the show title,
well, I think that would happen, yes.
Then you can be involved with the football frenzy. Absolutely.
Mark Schlereth is a much better-looking man.
Yeah, and stop insulting me.
Yeah, I need to do that. The Football Frenzy is brought to you by Advanced Radiation Centers of New York. We begin with a question from the other side of the glass. Andrew Gunling.
All right, what sort of reception do you anticipate Santonio Holmes receiving Monday night at MetLife Stadium?
A bad one. He should be booed. The guy was obviously a destructive force in that locker room, and he also didn't really produce, save half of one season. He was overpaid and a problem. He should not be treated like he's a conquering hero. He should be treated like something bad is back in the building.
He was a cancer on this team. I heard Rex come out and defend him the other day. Defend what? I mean, he was a problem in that game against Miami a couple years ago in the final game of the season. Now, injuries you can't help, but was his time here successful? No. You might not want to boo, but you do nothing. But it will not be a attractive reception that Santonio Holmes receives.
Yeah, and by the way, that is probably the worst mistake Rex has made in his Jets tenure, was making Santonio Holmes a captain.
Oh.
Yeah, I think so. John at JFK Airport. Now, John, are you at a terminal or are you in the parking lot?
I just got off work.
Oh, okay.
All right, so you finished work and you want to be involved with the frenzy, so go ahead, John.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I got two questions, actually. Andre Ellington or Mike Asiata? I got a PPR league. I got Ellington on the bench.
It's actually. Matt Asiata. I go with Ellington because now no Dwyer as well. I know Ellington doesn't get the goal line carries necessarily. Asiata caught a touchdown pass last week, but he didn't run well last week. And Ellington, I would think he's getting a little healthier in the foot. Plus, they don't have Dwyer there, so maybe there's a chance he does get one of those goal line carries or two. I would start Ellington over him.
I would agree. You know what? San Francisco's defense is not what it's been. Ellington's looked decent the first couple weeks. I guess he's healthier than he has been. Minnesota in New Orleans. You'd figure New Orleans defense play a little bit better than they have. They're a different team at home. Ellington over Asiata for me as well.
All right. This question comes from V12 the Monster. He tweets at us saying, does Geno Smith end the season with less turnovers than touchdowns?
You want me to answer?
Yeah, I was waiting for you.
Geno Smith winds up with more touchdowns than
turnovers.
Turnovers, yes.
I agree. I think so as well. Next up on the Frenzy, it's a question from DJ JC. That's Jeff Candelmo, ladies and gentlemen. Follow him on Twitter.
Okay, guys. Andrew Luck lost back-to-back games for the first time in his career. Are you worried about him as one of the on that trend to be one of the greatest quarterbacks ever?
No, I'm not. And I know this is where the people who've doubted him, like Skip Bayless, come out and say, see, he's really not that great after all. No, the team around him isn't that great.
Very mediocre.
That's the problem. Hakeem Nicks looks awful. I don't know what happened to this guy because he was so great through his first 3 years, but he's been in a 3-year tumble now and can't get back on his feet. Look, Andrew Luck really doesn't have great targets around him, and his defense is not all that good.
The offensive line stinks.
Terrible. So I'm not worried about Andrew Luck other than I'm worried about the team they're putting around him.
I agree with you, but now, Jeff, you say one of the great quarterbacks ever. I mean, please, can we stop with calling him one of the great quarterbacks?
That's what people have said about him.
Well,
he's the next great quarterback.
Lots of things, and it couldn't be more wrong. I'm not saying he won't be, but not yet. Am I worried? No, they'll be fine. They'll win against Jacksonville this week, and they'll still win that division.
This is funny. Andrew Cuomo tweeted back. He needs to let me know where the tailgate is, Andrew. He said, if you notice my picture, I'm most certainly not the governor. His profile picture of him, like, chugging a beer. So, yeah, I would say.
Who knows, though?
Yeah, I mean, I would guess Andrew Cuomo's not going to put that as his profile picture on Twitter.
You would hope not. But I thought we had reached a very high level that the governor wanted us to go to the tailgate.
Yeah, someday. Eric in Queens. Eric, you're up next on the Frenzy.
Hey, how's it going, guys? I just want two things. Like the call earlier, I, too, love both of you. And the other thing I wanted to say is... no problem. So Dave's boy, Marc Bradshaw, is he going to rush for 1,000 yards and be a quality fantasy running back this year?
No, because he's never healthy. I mean, Ahmad Bradshaw, and he works as hard as any running back in the league, and he gives more than any player in a given game, but he's never right. And remember, he sat out last year with a neck injury, and those things don't get better. So I was thrilled watching him on Monday night go into the end zone twice against the Eagles. You can start him when he's healthy, but I can't imagine he gets over 1,000 and stays healthy for the year.
I love him. He is, I mean, look, this guy is one of the great success stories we've had at the running back position over the last 8 years. It's a 7th-round draft pick, Ahmad Bradshaw, who, while running backs' careers seemingly are getting shorter and shorter, continues to be effective. He's still a pretty good back.
He is. When healthy, he's outstanding.
Yeah, so, I mean, no. Do I think he'll get 1,000 yards? He's probably a little too banged up, but I like him. I do. Next up, we have a tweet. Let's see. Let's go for this question from Jimmy Casa, who says, should he start Cam Newton or Phillip Rivers this week?
Cam Newton's the Steelers. Phillip Rivers goes up against the Bills. Phillip Rivers is a good quarterback. Gates caught 3 last week. Keenan Allen is a really good receiver. And his number 1 running back, Ryan Matthews, is out. So maybe the running game takes a little hit. I think that Phillip Rivers is the way I'd go there.
Yeah, you know what? I would go with Phillip Rivers, although I'd feel all right about Cam Newton. Another round of the frenzy. By the way, what happened to the buzzer people get for not just getting to their question? Who wants to know that? Dinahan?
Dinahan asked that question?
Yeah, why?
We should do that. We've softened up on people since it's been incorporated to the daytime. At night, I was very structured and wasn't as lenient.
So you mean I've softened up on people?
No, I don't. I think that we have softened up on maybe.
Well, if you're going to say I love you guys, I need to hear that.
But do you at that time?
Yeah.
There's plenty of other time that you could call us and tell us you love us.
I'll always take the love.
All right,
I'm a hand.
Then that's why the buzzer's gone away.
Andrew Gunling, you're up next on the frenzy.
All right, you may not like this one, but here I go. I need your help as an Eagles fan. Should I boo or cheer Deshaun Jackson this Sunday when he returns to Philadelphia?
That's a good question,
you
actually.
Boo him. You boo him.
Really? I think I'm going to cheer.
No. Are you going to the game?
No, but I'll stand and do it at home.
Yeah. So this question is, what do I do in front of my television where nobody except my wife can know what I'm doing?
Do you stand for the national anthem at your TV?
No.
I usually do.
And this is why the buzzer has gone out the window, by the way. You stand for? Do you take off your hat? Do you dop it?
Yeah.
I used to run out of the hallway. A dop of the cap to Derek Jeter.
Yeah, I do. I actually, if I had a hat on, I'd take it off when I'm standing in front of my TV for the national anthem.
Preposterous.
And I stand up, too.
What was your question?
Andrew,
thank you for the help.
Yeah, you got to boo him. First of all, he's an Eagle, and I think for that reason alone, you want to give negative vibes.
Well, he's not an Eagle anymore.
But he was.
He's a Redskin.
And now he's on Washington, so even more so to boo him. But no, I mean, his tenure, being serious, his tenure in Philadelphia ended poorly. They say they cut him for gang-related issues, and whether you believe that or not, it didn't end well. I'm inclined to boo.
I would cheer him. He got cut. He was good for you. He gave Giants fans a heartache that lasted weeks. You cheered Deshaun Jackson. He didn't do anything to those people wrong. They cut him. He didn't ask to be traded. I'd cheer him. That's what I'd do.
What are you going to do?
I think I'm leaning towards cheering, but the gang-related thing is what I'm having a hard time getting over.
I wouldn't cheer that aspect of his life. But as far as what did he do to the Eagles? He didn't do bad things to them, did he?
He's very unlikable, though.
Yeah, well, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Brent in Dix Hills. Brent, you're on the Lexus of Route 10 hotline. You're up next on the Frenzy.
Yeah, hi, guys. Just curious, do you think behind Coach Pettin and Brian Hoyer, the Browns have finally figured out how to win?
I have no idea.
What a game.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, Brent. I hope so, because if the Browns are good, that place, I mean, Cleveland is terrific sports fans, and especially the Cleveland Browns, so I want them to be good for that city's sake. But I don't know that Mike Pettin's not going to be an awful head coach. I have absolutely no idea what kind of head coach he's going to be. I know I don't like the way he handled the end of his Jets tenure when he was doling out stories left and right about the people in his building, which he did. I know I don't love the way he's treated Rex Ryan in the aftermath, who I don't think Mike Pettin ever would have gotten a sniff of being a head coach if it wasn't for Rex pumping him up the way he did for years. he may still be a great football coach, but after one win against the New Orleans Saints, I have no idea whether or not I can say that, nor am I sold on Brian Hoyer after 5 career starts.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I'm not going to sit here after 2 games, and granted, they were competitive against the Steelers and lost, and then they won the second game in surprise fashion over the Saints. The guy's been in the league for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Can we wait before we erect a statue for him?
I think we probably should. Casey tweets at us saying, is Welker a safe start this week? Alternatives are Kelvin Benjamin and Deshaun Jackson.
I wasn't paying attention. What?
Casey tweets at us, better pronounced Casey, is Welker a safe start this week? Alternatives are Kelvin Benjamin and Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, I don't love Welker in this matchup. I mean, they're up to Seattle. This is his first game. Benjamin goes up against the Steelers. I would go Benjamin. Is the guy that I would go with of those 3.
I think I would go Benjamin as well. Is that it for the frenzy?
I don't know. We can do one more. No,
no.
Really? We could do like the next round in a minute.
All right, let's do a speed round.
Speed
Jeff,
frenzy round. Jeff, go.
Okay, we were talking about tailgates earlier. Favorite tailgate food?
Mine would have to be...
Mine's the brat.
Sabra hummus. Troy in the Bronx.
That's not a tailgate
Troy, you're
food.
up next on
That's
the
like
frenzy.
what you bring to the opera.
Hey, guys.
Go ahead,
Thanks for
Troy.
taking my call. I have Jamal Charles out this week, so I picked up Niall Davis. Safe pick, or should I go with my other pick that's on the bench of Reggie Bush? What do you think?
If Niall Davis is playing and Jamal Charles is out, I would certainly play him.
Niall Davis is a top 12 back if he is the guy getting all the carries.
And I can't believe I blew it with picking him up in my Yahoo League. Adam Z, I got him in one of my ESPN leagues, not the other one. Adam Z tweets and says, Matt Ryan tonight or Jay Cutler against the Jets. Who do you play? He's torn.
Matt Ryan tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like this Jets defense. I mean, I do, which is why I wouldn't go Jay Cutler. I think Ryan goes for 280 and 2, and I would go him over Jay Cutler.
And that is Ryan Ruocco, Dave Rothenberg with you on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. By the way, if you want to see a cool Throwback Thursday picture, that's a big thing on Instagram. I don't know if you knew that, Dave.
Why? Why do you do that? Why couldn't you just make your point without insulting me? I know Instagram.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you have it?
No.
That's our next project.
Should
for
I?
you. First, you master the truth, and then we'll go to Instagram.
But I'm on the Twitter.
You are on the Twitter.
Yes.
Took a while, but
it
you're
did.
there.
But I did get on, and I enjoy it.
TBT, Throwback Thursdays. I put up a picture today of me and Derek Jeter the first time I met him, 2002.
You think he has it up on his as well?
I think he probably does. But so if you want to see that, it's at Rooks on Instagram, and you can check that out. So we've been asking people to follow suit, like Dave, and give a flowery, loving tribute of respect to the captain.
I want my kids to turn out to be just like Derek Jeter.
Because it is the first game of his final homestand tonight at the stadiums. Even Don LaGreca is going to the stadium today to pay his respects to the captain. So, with that in mind, we had you guys leaving voice messages for us with the chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to Derek Jeter Live, courtesy of Steiner Sports and ESPN New York. It's going to be a great event Monday night with the captain. And we have to pick a winner, Dave. You ready to hear some of our finalists? Now, Andrew Gunling, Andrew, we got a ton of them, right?
Oh, my. I've literally
did we get over 250?
I don't know the number, but I've spent pretty much the last hour listening to these.
All right. So we have a lot of contestants, and you've whittled it down to the best ones.
Yeah.
So this is really all contingent on what Andrew determines to be the best.
But I trust him. Why don't you trust him?
It's not that I don't trust him, but it's really a very biased system that we have here.
Well, how else would we judge?
We could have a full panel, a room of interns making these decisions in the back somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true.
Why would you trust the intern's opinion more than mine?
Well, no, the only thing that worries me is that it's just you. Like, it's only one person. So if it's a voice that you don't feel comfortable with, if there's a rasp in the voice that you don't like, you can exclude them and no one can sit here and tell you otherwise.
I suppose that's true.
You know what? I trust Andrew to know a good rasp and a bad rasp. He knows the right rasp. And he also knows what the word doff means.
A dop of the cap to Derek Jeter.
Okay.
At what point does that get old?
It never will.
That will never get old.
Ever. Ask Andrew about the archives they have on Don and his mispronunciations. Oh, they go back quite a way. Don't they, Andrew?
I don't know what you're talking about.
See? All right. Here we go. Ready, Dave?
I'm ready.
This is the first finalist.
One time when my kids were small, about 10 years ago, and they got together with a bunch of their friends, and we were going down to the playground just to play some catch and hit the ball around. I was trailing behind them. They were walking up ahead of me, about 5 across on the sidewalk, and I realized after a while that they all 5 had shirts on, T-shirts, baseball shirts, whatever, that had the number 2 on the back and Jeter written across the top. All 5 stretched across the sidewalk. 5 kids with the Derek Jeter shirts on, just heading down to the local Astoria playground to hit the ball around. And I said to myself, this would make a great photograph if I could take it and send it to Derek. But anyway, that's the kind of hold you had on New York and on the kids, and we'll miss you, Derek.
That was nicely done. That's a beautiful story.
It was very long-winded for no reason.
For no reason?
Well, no, it droned on and on.
No, that's a beautiful story. He's walking behind all of his kids. They all are wearing number 2.
He could have wrapped it up in like 9 seconds. It went way too long for it. It was okay. And it sounded genuine and heartfelt, but he had rambled.
No, that was so heartfelt.
Rambled. It was a little much.
I disagree. I like that guy.
But this is like in your wheelhouse. This for me is I am completely uncomfortable in this situation.
You need to put your bias aside right now. This is a big prize we're giving away.
I understand. I didn't love that. My honest opinion is it was heartfelt, but it
No,
dragged.
But you didn't love it because you don't love Derek.
No, that's not true. I don't love Derek, but that's not true at all. It dragged. It went on needlessly too long.
I like that one.
All right.
Let's hear the second.
Derek, my name is Kyle. You threw me a baseball when I was in 4th grade, and it kind of got me through elementary and middle and high school, and now through my first few years of college, and I just got to say, thanks, man. You're just the best thing that's happened to me. This is just the best. Yeah, gee, it's just the best. Oh, God.
I like that better.
You did?
I like that better.
You think that guy's going to appreciate the prize, though? I don't know. I mean, that was funny.
It was funnier than the other one. I like humor.
All right, you want to hear another one?
Yeah.
Let's hear.
Hi, my name is Christopher Mann, and basically here goes my message in Morgan Freeman's voice. Number 2. A number that in New York is the greatest of all numbers.
I like this.
It represents passion. It represents determination. It represents history. It represents the people. It represents a champion. But most of all, it represents the captain. Number 2, Derek Jeter.
I like that.
That was good.
That was good.
I like that.
That was a pretty good Morgan Freeman. He was creative, and yet he was still heartfelt.
It was genuine. It was funny. It was a copy of a legendary voice that was good. I think it encompassed everything you would hope for.
I agree.
I like that one.
And I feel bad that the first 2 aren't going to win because I appreciate their genuine reflection or their humor, but I think this had a little of both.
Is that it, or is there more?
Yeah, those are the 5. There's a ton more. But
No.
Are
we listening to more, or is that it?
I chose 3, and that was
the winner
3.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you agree?
The Morgan Freeman.
Freeman was good.
Yeah,
was
right?
the best. I liked it.
What's the guy's name? Christopher Mann?
He said it.
Hi, my name is Christopher Mann, and...
All right, so congratulations to... I'm just checking on my work while we're on the air. Christopher Mann, congratulations. You win the 4-pack to Derek Jeter Live, courtesy of Steiner Sports and ESPN New York. It's going to be a great night Monday, and you deserve it, my friend. And thank you, honestly. Like, in all seriousness, we joke around, we have fun, but it's very cool for us when we do something, spur of the moment like that, where we need participation, and so many of you do. It's rewarding for us, and we appreciate all of you contributing the way you did. So thank you.
It was fun. Andrew, let me ask you this. On the heels of Ryan's heartfelt speech, were there some awful ones? Were there some where you were just so turned off that you couldn't listen through?
No, they weren't awful. Many of them, and I appreciated, like Ryan, I appreciated them coming in, but many of them were just kind of the same. You know, you were class. I loved watching you play. You know, they list a couple moments, and that was that. But those were the 3 that I thought were a little different. The one guy gave a story, the other guy pretended to sob, and then the other guy did his as Morgan Freeman.
Okay.
Those were good choices. You did a good job, Andrew, and congratulations to Christopher Mann. He deserves this.
Week 3 of the NFL.
Yeah.
Starts tonight. You want to take a quick little preview, shall we?
Yeah, shall we? That's my phrase. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going back to it. Let's have some fun, shall we? That's how I used to open the show back in the day. But anyway, I have to say, one of the things I love is Thursday night football feels bigger now because of Nance and Sims.
Yeah, because it's a CBS game?
Yeah, it's just, and that's no disrespect. The NFL Network puts on a terrific product, but it's just a matter of you have your big-time game announcers doing this game now.
But you don't have a really big-time game tonight.
Well, no, tonight you don't, but I'm still going to watch it.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
It's the start of the week. It's a game. You're going to watch it.
This is where fantasy helps a lot. If you have, Doug Martin, well, you're not happy, but if you have Bobby Rainey or
if you have a guy that's playing in this
Ryan,
game, it adds a little bit of flavor so that you have the interest to watch it. But when you look at some of these games, stop me. I don't know how great of a week this is for the NFL. Stop me when there's a game that you're like, you know what, Dave?
Okay.
That's good.
All right.
San Diego at Buffalo.
Well,
I mean, record-wise, it's entertaining.
That's better than I thought. I'm interested in that game.
Okay.
I'm interested.
Tennessee at Cincinnati? No. Baltimore at Cleveland? No. Come on. Baltimore, Cleveland?
No.
Green Bay at Detroit, I think, would be a stop, right?
Yeah.
So that's a really good game. Indy at Jacksonville, no.
No.
Oakland at New England? No. Minnesota at New Orleans?
No.
Houston at the Giants?
Well,
now I'm not talking from your perspective.
Then no.
All right. Washington at Philly?
No.
San Francisco at Arizona?
Yes.
Yeah, I think, strangely enough, Arizona has become a team that you really want to focus on. Kansas City at Miami?
No.
Denver. This is the game of the week.
Denver-Seattle.
Denver-Seattle is a monster game.
I kind of like that it's a 4. Oh, you know what, though? I'm going to be coming back from the Giant game.
Yeah, you're going to miss that game.
No, I'm not going to miss the entire game.
Well, you'll miss a good half of the game.
It doesn't take me long to get back into the city.
You'll still miss a good half of the game. That's a great game. You don't think Denver gets a beatdown like they did on Super Bowl Sunday, do you?
Yeah, well, by the way, Michael has a problem with me, apparently, for watching the football game tonight, not the Yankees. Don't worry, Michael. I will be watching.
Oh, don't cater to him.
No, I'm not catering to him.
I'm
not. I'm going to be watching every single one of Derek Jeter's at-bats the rest of the way. I won't take my eyes off the captain. Last night, I was all into it. Thought John, Al, and Michael did a terrific job keeping me entertained, and so did Derek Jeter with his blasted single to center.
He's won for his last 30.
It's okay. He's still the captain. And you know what, Dave? I agree with you.
Want my kids to turn out to be just like Derek Jeter.
And you also want to?
A dop of the cap to Derek Jeter.
That's
every time I make fun of you, you're going to play that.
Yep.
Okay.
Like in 22 hours.
All right.
The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup is upon us.
The Challenger Round.
There's a new format, 16 drivers, 3 races.
Chicago, New Hampshire, Dover.
They're going to have to find their groove on every track.
This is like no other playoff in racing.
12 will advance after this round.
4 will be eliminated. Everybody's on edge.
Oh, man, this is going to get interesting.
The Challenger Round. 16 nations battle, 12 advance in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. The Sylvania 300 at New Hampshire. Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN.
This is ESPN New York's Fantasy.
You play to win the game.
Football.
I want winners.
Primer.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
That's right. Right now, we check in with Eric Karabell, one of our fantasy experts here at ESPN. But you know what, Eric, before I ask you a fantasy question, I have to know this. What was it like watching a Giant game with Dave on Sunday?
Well, it was a little bit scary, a little bit exciting. He was interesting on Sunday. I'm glad we don't have to. Well, do we have to do it this week?
Yeah,
Giants
Texans. We got
this. Well, at least the Giants-Eagles game will be off airtime because I'm an Eagles fan and he apparently has stock in the Giants. So at least that won't be a problem. And then their last game is Week 17. By then, everything should be figured out.
Did you enjoy? Was it enjoyable for you to watch me watch the Giants, or was it like something is really wrong with him?
Well, I dodged the bobblehead that you threw across the room, so I didn't get hit by that. So I call it a positive day.
Okay. All right, Eric. So on the field, Jamal Charles. What are your expectations for him?
I doff my cap to him. I don't think he's playing this week. I mean, I think Niall Davis is a top 10 guy. I'd be really surprised if Jamal Charles plays. They haven't really announced a high ankle sprain unless you're Superman. I don't see how you can play the following week. So, I mean, Jamal Charles, to me, is a guy you own. You still trade for. He shouldn't be out too long. But Niall Davis is a terrific play this week.
All right, A.J. Green, who really hurt people last week because he played and then he left early on in the first quarter. Can you confidently play him? Do you have to watch up until game time with the Bengals superstar wideout?
We didn't even rank him this week. Our rankings came out yesterday. I mean, we're really surprised that he's even up in the air that he might play. If he does, he's a top 10 guy. You may not know until 12:45 Eastern Time on Sunday. If he plays, you find a way to play him. I'd be really surprised. And they don't really have a replacement. Mohamed Sanu is more of a slot guy. He's little. So, I mean, if A.J. Green plays, that's awesome. But I don't expect it.
So, how about when it comes to Thursday night production, Eric? Jeff Candelmo, who works on our show, has been trying to convince us that even a guy like Matt Ryan, you need to expect a dip because people don't go off on Thursdays. Is this true?
Yeah, it actually is. My colleague Tristan Cockcroft wrote an article about this last year, that the numbers are down on Thursdays as opposed to Sundays and Mondays. So you can expect a little bit of a lower scoring game. That doesn't mean that every game will be lower scoring. And Atlanta's defense has been dreadful. But I don't expect McCown or Matt Ryan to have 25-point fantasy games. I expect some numbers. This is not a 10-7 game. These teams don't do that. But, yes, the numbers are actually down on Thursday. It's a short work week, and that affects the players.
Is Doug Martin going to go in this game tonight?
I hope not. I think he's one of the most overrated players right now. He was overrated in drafts. I ranked him in like the third round. People were taking him in the first. I think Bobby Rainey goes nuts tonight if Doug Martin does not play. And I would use Rainey in the leagues I have him in, but we're not going to know that until about 8 o'clock tonight whether Martin's going to go. I think he's pretty overrated physically, and he's hurt, and I'd rather Rainey play.
If you are someone who missed out on Rainey and Niall Davis and Donald Brown, who is a stash running back to pick up right now who might end up being somebody who everybody's coveting next week?
Well, I mean, certainly with the healthy guys, I mean, Frank Gore is not a young guy, so Carlos Hyde would be that guy to me. Bishop Sankey, who was drafted in most leagues as the first Titan and now is being dropped in most leagues. And we know Sean Green isn't a great player. He got like 5 touches last week. So whenever they're trailing, Sean Green's not an option. So I think that's one, and I think Isaiah Crowell of Cleveland. I don't know when Ben Tate's going to play again, but Crowell looks pretty good too, along with Terrence West, and at some point they could switch the order. The other one is obvious. It's Jerick McKinnon in Minnesota. Matt Asiata's not that good. He really isn't. I mean, he had a game a couple of years ago where he had 30 carries and 51 yards. He can get in the end zone because he's a fullback type, but McKinnon's better. He's small, he's fast. At some point, if Peterson really is out for the rest of the year, Jerick McKinnon will be a top 20 running back.
I am a Shane Vereen owner. Stephen Ridley got the bulk of the work this past Sunday. What happens moving forward here?
I don't think that's surprising. They don't want Vereen to get 10 carries per game.
But I do.
Of course you do. But he's more like Sproles than he is a Ridley. I mean, the thing about Vereen is he's going to catch passes. He's been a little disappointing so far. As long as Ridley holds onto the ball, Ridley's a top 15 running back overall as long as he holds onto the football and keeps his job. Vereen was overdrafted. I think you still have to own him. It's a huge week for the Patriots. If Tom Brady has another stinker this week against Oakland, people are going to start dropping him. Nobody's going to trust him. He's the number 28 quarterback right now. Derek Anderson had as many points as Brady has in 2 weeks in one game. So same with Kirk Cousins. I expect New England to put up like 40 this week against the Raiders.
Outstanding stuff, Eric. We appreciate it. Thanks for giving us our fantasy football primer.
Anytime. Looking forward to Sunday, Dave.
I'll see you Sunday,
Eric. That's right.
The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup is upon us.
The Challenger Round.
There's a new format, 16 drivers, 3 races.
Chicago, New Hampshire, Dover.
They're going to have to find their groove on every track.
This is like no other playoff in racing.
12 will advance after this round.
4 will be eliminated. Everybody's on edge.
Oh man, this is going to get interesting.
The Challenger Round. 16 nations battle, 12 advance in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. The Sylvania 300 at New Hampshire. Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN.
Behind enemy lines.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
Houston Texans.
That's right. We get a chance to chat with Marc Vandermeer, the Texans play-by-play announcer here behind enemy lines. All right, Mark, 2-0. How has it looked compared to the way the record is through these first 2 games?
Oh, it looked pretty good, guys. I mean, when you run it as much as they have, Arian Foster had 27 carries in Week 1, 28 in Week 2. They've been multi-score victories. It's a pretty solid 2-0. Now, the competition hasn't been world-beating, but, hey, the Redskins look pretty good in their Week 2 matchup against the Jaguars with their backup quarterback. So, it's hard to measure these things. This is the 5th straight year this team has been 2-0. And 2 of those years prior were disasters. Last year's 2-14, and in 2010 they went 6-10 after starting 2-0. So people are out here, don't make too big a deal out of it, but I think it's pretty solid. It's a new era, new staff, and so far so good.
What's the take on Ryan Fitzpatrick? They've kind of seemingly won these games with good defense and a solid ground game. If they're in a spot where they need a big drive from this quarterback, can he provide that?
I think he can. We've all seen him do it. The problem is it hasn't been consistent in his career, right? I mean, he's had the turnover bug. He's still positive in the TD to interception ratio, but the thought going into this year was, can you take the turnovers out of him? And so far they've done it. He hasn't turned it over yet. And in the second half against the Redskins and all game long against Oakland, he was pretty good on third down, and that's how quarterbacks really have to make their money. So he's done the job. But when you're throwing about 20 times a game, which they have so far, you expect to be in a pretty good situation because they've been running the ball and earning their keep that way. They have not been in a must-throw stretch of a game where they're down a score or two in the second half. So I really don't want to see it this weekend, but we might, and we'll see how he does.
How does one not stop but contain J.J. Watt?
Oakland kind of did it in that they were getting rid of the ball very quickly. Derek Carr, even though he's a rookie, they got rid of it fast. But, in doing that, they had to settle for a lot of short stuff that didn't do what they wanted. And they ran right at him, so they were trying to just sort of get as many guys on him as possible. But, you have other weapons here, too. Brooks Reed's a very solid player. So is Whitney Merciless, who's filling in for Jadeveon Clowney. He's a first-round draft choice from a couple of years ago. So they have weapons to get after the quarterback. If Eli holds on to the ball, that enables J.J. and friends to get there a little bit easier. So, I think that's a little chess match, and we'll see how the Giants play it.
All right, no Jadeveon Clowney. He was there week 1. He's out for the next, 3, 4, maybe 5 weeks. Not having him, huge loss, not that big a loss. Give us a little insight.
Well, we won't know how huge a loss it is until we see him come back and see what he can really do. But I got to tell you, every time he's been out there, preseason, regular season, he's been so noticeable. I mean, he just eats up the backfield. This guy is a freak of an athlete. He's like an avatar, and I'm eager to see him come back. But having said that, you have Whitney Merciless, like I said, drafted in the first round a couple of years ago. 13 sacks his first 2 years. He looked pretty good in his time in the first couple of games, and I think that he's going to be fine, but he's not Clowney, okay? And that's what we want to see. We want to see Clowney come back. The good news is, the silver lining is you get Clowney back with maybe fresh-ish legs for the final 10 games or so and see how it plays out.
Mark, terrific stuff. We appreciate you taking us behind enemy lines.
All right, thanks a lot, boys.
The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup is upon us.
The Challenger Round.
There's a new format, 16 drivers, 3 races.
Chicago, New Hampshire, Dover.
They're going to have to find their groove on every track.
This is like no other playoff in racing.
12 will advance after this round.
4 will be eliminated. Everybody's on edge.
Oh, man, this is going to get interesting.
The Challenger Round. 16 nations battle, 12 advance in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. The Sylvania 300 at New Hampshire. Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN.
Do I go now?
I think you do, because it's not about what you want, it's about what's right. That's real respect.
I'm going to do it right.
I can't wait to hear.
Born Derek Sanderson Jeter. The Yankees took him with their first overall selection in the 92 Major League Baseball draft. Why would other teams pass him up? It's a question that we still ask ourselves to this day. He came to this team with veteran leadership as a young player. And he handled himself with the grace and class of a veteran leader at a very young age. How am I doing so far?
Doing great.
Yeah?
Keep going.
Let me continue. And then Derek Jeter and Paul O'Neill and Mariano Rivera and Jorge Posada did something that this Yankee franchise hasn't seen in a long time. And that is win. And that is win and grab victory from the jaws of defeat in the 1996 World Series, where, for God's sakes, if Mark Warlers doesn't throw that hanging slider and Jim Leyritz doesn't hit it out, but I digress.
Yeah, back on
because
track.
Derek Jeter finds a way, and that's what he's always done. Be it diving into the stands against the Red Sox and cutting his face up, being the relay pitch throw against the Oakland A's when they trailed in that series 2-0.
I think they call it the toss.
Well, I call it the awkward pitch backhanded thing, but whatever, I digress.
Continue.
Derek Jeter, much to the way the song says, has always done it his way. And Derek Jeter's way, you love this, by the way, Derek Jeter's way has always worked. And how many guys, right, can you say in the history of New York sports have won in a classy manner, have won the right way, have won to the point that you can say, I want my kids to turn out to be just like Derek Jeter. He's Mr. November. He's handled himself with grace. He's handled himself with class. And what more is there to say than a dop of the cap to Derek Jeter, who won 5 championships. Not one did I enjoy, but all of I respected. To you, Derek Jeter, congratulations.
That was very nicely done.
How was that?
That was very nicely done.
The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup is upon us.
The Challenger Round.
There's a new format, 16 drivers, 3 races.
Chicago, New Hampshire, Dover.
They're going to have to find their groove on every track.
This is like no other playoff in racing.
12 will advance after this round.
4 will be eliminated. Everybody's on edge.
Oh man, this is going to get interesting.
The Challenger Round. 16 nations battle, 12 advance in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. The Sylvania 300 at New Hampshire. Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN.